Today, we're exploring the complete history of Japan, from prehistoric hunter-gatherers and powerful samurai warlords to world wars, economic miracles, and modern technological dominance. It's a story filled with invasions, civil wars, legendary warriors, dramatic transformations, and some of the most remarkable moments in human history. Before we begin, if you enjoy history documentaries that uncover the rise and fall of civilizations, be sure to subscribe to Historic Vaults and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's journey through thousands of years of Japanese history. Japan, a nation of bullet trains, towering cities, ancient temples, samurai legends, and technological innovation. Today, Japan is one of the most influential countries on Earth. Its culture, products, and traditions have reached every corner of the globe. Yet for most of its history, Japan was a remote chain of islands on the edge of Asia, separated from the great civilizations of the continent. How did this isolated island nation become one of the world's most powerful countries? To answer that question, we must travel back thousands of years into a world long before emperors, samurai, or even Japan itself existed. This is the complete history of Japan. The story begins more than 30,000 years ago. During the last ice age, lower sea levels connected parts of Japan to the Asian mainland. Small groups of hunter-gatherers crossed into the islands, becoming the ancestors of Japan's earliest inhabitants. Over thousands of years, these people developed a unique culture known today as the Jomon. The Jomon lived in small communities, hunting deer and wild boar, fishing along the coasts, and gathering nuts and plants from Japan's dense forests. What made them remarkable was their pottery. The Jomon produced some of the oldest pottery in human history, creating intricate rope pattern designs thousands of years before many civilizations elsewhere had even begun farming. For over 10,000 years, the Jomon lived largely undisturbed. Then everything changed. Between roughly 1000 and 300 BC, new migrants arrived from the Asian mainland. Known today as the Yayoi people, they brought something that would transform Japan forever: rice farming. Along with bronze tools, iron weapons, weaving techniques, and advanced agriculture, the Yayoi introduced an entirely new way of life. Unlike hunter-gatherers, farmers could support much larger populations. Villages became towns. Towns became kingdoms. As wealth accumulated, powerful families emerged. Land became valuable. And wherever valuable land exists, conflict soon follows. Chinese records from this period describe Japan, known then as Wa, as a land divided into dozens, perhaps hundreds, of competing kingdoms. The age of tribal Japan had begun. By the 3rd century AD, one ruler rose above the others. Her name was Himiko. According to Chinese sources, Himiko was a mysterious queen and shaman who united many Japanese tribes under her authority. She rarely appeared in public. She communicated through attendants. Many believed she possessed magical powers. Whether these stories were true or exaggerated, one fact is clear: Himiko brought stability to a fractured land. Her diplomatic missions to China earned recognition from the mighty Wei dynasty, giving her legitimacy and prestige. After her death, enormous burial mounds known as kofun began appearing across Japan. These monumental tombs symbolized the rise of an increasingly powerful ruling elite. Out of this era emerged the Yamato clan, and with them, the foundations of Japan itself. By the 5th century, the Yamato rulers had become the dominant power on the islands. They claimed descent from Amaterasu, the sun goddess. This divine ancestry would become the basis of the Japanese imperial line. Remarkably, The imperial family that traces its origins to this period still exists today, making it the world's oldest continuing monarchy. But Japan was still heavily influenced by events beyond its shores. In 538 AD, a gift arrived from the Korean kingdom of Baekje. It would transform Japanese society forever: Buddhism. The new religion sparked fierce debate. Some embraced it. Others feared it would anger Japan's traditional gods. Powerful clans fought over its adoption. Eventually, Buddhism prevailed. Temples spread across the country. Art flourished. Writing systems expanded. Japan became increasingly connected to the great civilizations of East Asia. One figure stands above all others in early Japanese history: Prince Shotoku. Serving under Empress Suiko, Shotoku laid the foundations of the Japanese state. He promoted Buddhism. He encouraged learning. He sent embassies to China. Most importantly, he sought to create a centralized government capable of ruling the entire country. Inspired by Chinese administration, Japan adopted new laws, new institutions, and new political structures. For the first time, Japan was beginning to resemble a true nation. The land of the rising sun had emerged. In 710, Japan established its first permanent capital at Nara. The city was modeled after China's magnificent capitals. Wide avenues, government ministries, temples, and palaces demonstrated Japan's growing sophistication. The most spectacular achievement was the Great Buddha of Todaiji. Standing over 15 meters tall, it became one of the largest bronze statues ever created. Building it required enormous resources. Millions contributed labor, materials, or money. Nara symbolized Japan's growing power, but it also revealed a problem. Buddhist institutions were becoming politically influential. The emperors began to worry. Soon, the capital would move again. In 794, the capital relocated to Heian-kyo, modern Kyoto. For nearly 4 centuries, Kyoto became the center of Japanese civilization. This period is often considered Japan's classical age. Court culture flourished. Poetry, literature, music, and art reached extraordinary heights. The world's first novel, The Tale of Genji, was written during this era by Murasaki Shikibu. Yet beneath the elegance of court life, power was slowly slipping away. The imperial court became consumed by intrigue and ceremony. Provincial landowners gained increasing autonomy. To defend their estates, they hired warriors. These warriors would change Japan forever. As central authority weakened, powerful military families emerged. Among them were 2 rival clans, the Taira and the Minamoto. Their struggle for supremacy eventually erupted into the Genpei War. Japan descended into chaos. Battles raged across the country. Armies clashed on land and sea. In 1185, the Minamoto emerged victorious. Their leader, Minamoto no Yoritomo, established a new form of government: the Kamakura shogunate. For the first time, military rulers rather than emperors controlled Japan. The age of the samurai had begun. Then came the greatest challenge Japan had ever faced: the Mongols. By the late 13th century, Kublai Khan ruled the largest empire in human history. After conquering China, he turned his attention toward Japan. The Japanese refused to submit. In 1274, Mongol forces invaded. They returned with an even larger army in 1281. The fate of Japan hung in the balance. Yet both invasions ended in disaster. Powerful storms devastated the Mongol fleets. Thousands drowned. The Japanese called these winds the kamikaze, the divine wind. Japan had survived. The victory became a defining moment in national identity. The islands had resisted the greatest empire on Earth. Although the Mongols were defeated, The shogunate eventually weakened. Political instability returned. The Ashikaga shogunate replaced the Kamakura government, but its authority gradually crumbled. By the 15th century, Japan entered the Sengoku period, the Warring States era. For more than a century, rival warlords battled for power. Castles rose across the landscape. Alliances shifted constantly. Betrayal became commonplace. Japan was fractured. Yet from the chaos emerged three extraordinary men: Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, Tokugawa Ieyasu. Together, they would reshape Japan. Oda Nobunaga was ruthless, ambitious, and brilliant. Using firearms acquired through European trade, he shattered traditional military tactics. He conquered much of Japan before being betrayed and forced to commit suicide. His general, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, completed the work. By the late 16th century, Japan was unified. But Hideyoshi wanted more. He launched massive invasions of Korea, hoping eventually to conquer China. The campaigns failed. After Hideyoshi's death, Japan once again faced civil war. The decisive moment came in 1600, the Battle of Sekigahara. Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged victorious. 3 years later, he became shogun. The Tokugawa era had begun. For more than 250 years, Japan experienced unprecedented peace. The population grew. Cities expanded. Literacy flourished. Commerce thrived. Yet the Tokugawa government feared foreign influence. Christianity was banned. European contact was restricted. Japan largely closed itself to the outside world. This policy of isolation lasted for over 2 centuries. While Europe experienced revolutions and industrialization, Japan remained largely unchanged. But isolation could not last forever. In 1853, black-hulled American warships appeared in Japanese waters. Their commander was Commodore Matthew Perry. His message was simple: open Japan, or face the consequences. The shogunate realized it could not resist modern industrial powers. The old order was collapsing. Many believed only radical change could save the country. They were right. In 1868, the Tokugawa shogunate fell. Power was officially restored to the emperor. The Meiji Restoration transformed Japan at astonishing speed. Samurai privileges were abolished. Railways appeared. Factories multiplied. A modern army was created. Western science and technology were adopted. Within a few decades, Japan had achieved what many thought impossible. An Asian nation had successfully modernized without being colonized. The world took notice. Japan's leaders believed survival depended on strength. Soon, modernization gave way to expansion. Japan defeated China in the First Sino-Japanese War. Then came an even greater shock. In 1905, Japan defeated Russia. For the first time in modern history, an Asian power had defeated a major European empire. Japan emerged as a global force. Its influence expanded across East Asia. But success bred ambition, and ambition would lead to catastrophe. In the 1930s, Japan pursued aggressive expansion across Asia. Conflict with China intensified. Eventually, Japan joined the Axis powers during the Second World War. The attack on Pearl Harbor brought the United States into the conflict. At first, Japan advanced rapidly. Then, the tide turned. American industrial power overwhelmed the empire. Cities were devastated. Millions died. In August 1945, atomic bombs destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan surrendered. Its empire was gone. Its cities lay in ruins. Many believed Japan would never recover. They were wrong. After the war, Japan underwent another extraordinary transformation. Democratic reforms were introduced. The military was dismantled. Industry was rebuilt. By the 1960s and 1970s, Japan's economy was booming. Japanese automobiles, electronics, and technology conquered global markets. The nation that had once been isolated from the world became one of its economic giants. The bullet train became a symbol of modern Japan. Tokyo grew into one of the world's greatest cities. The country rose from devastation to prosperity in a single generation. Few nations in history have transformed themselves so dramatically. Today, Japan remains one of the world's most fascinating countries. Ancient temples stand beside futuristic skyscrapers. Samurai castles overlook modern cities. Traditions thousands of years old coexist with cutting-edge technology. From the Jomon hunters and Yayoi farmers to emperors and samurai. From isolation and civil war to industrialization and global influence, Japan's history is one of constant reinvention. Again and again, the nation faced challenges that seemed impossible. Again and again, it adapted, endured, and transformed. And that may be the greatest lesson of Japanese history. The story of Japan is not simply the story of a country. It is the story of resilience. And so, from prehistoric hunter-gatherers and ancient tribal kingdoms to samurai warlords, world wars, and technological innovation, Japan's history is one of the most remarkable stories ever told. Few nations have transformed themselves as many times as Japan. Time and again, the country faced challenges that could have destroyed it, yet each time it adapted, endured, and emerged stronger than before. A story that continues to unfold to this day. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Japanese history, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Historic Vaults. It helps the channel tremendously and allows us to continue creating in-depth history documentaries like this one. I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. Which period of Japanese history do you find the most fascinating? The Samurai era? The Sengoku period? The Meiji Restoration? Imperial Japan? Or modern Japan? Thank you for watching. And until next time, keep exploring the past.